Ratio, proportions, and lesson. A ratio is a relation between two or more quantities. Ratios can be expressed in words or in fractions. For example, the ratio given when a team wins 4 out of 6 games can be said as 4 out of 6 or 4 to 6. Or 4 over 6. Let's look at an example. A corridor is 8 feet wide and 6 yards long. What is the ratio of length to width? So we have our length is 6, and our width is 8. If we wanted to write that as a fraction, we could follow this as 6 over 8. If your truck used 43.5 gallons of gas to travel 804 miles, what was the truck's gas mileage? The ratio of distance to amount of fuel used. Our distance to the amount used, or as a fraction, distance over A. Our distance was 800.4 miles, and A is 43.5 gallons. Let's move on to proportion. A proportion is an equation where one ratio is set equal to another ratio. So now the only difference now is that we're adding an equal sign. So here are the two ways to set them up. Mean proportion. Two inside terms of a proportion are equal. So here, these proportions are equal. If you cross multiplied, you would have A times C equaling B times B. B times B is B squared. To solve for B, you take the square root. You take the square root, they cancel, leaving with B. And when you take the square root of something, you need to add plus or minus, and that's how you get this formula. So let's solve the following proportions. So what I like to do is cross multiply. 3 times 9, that is 27. Put your equal sign, and then multiply those. 7 times x. Solve for x. So x is equal to 27 over 7. Very similar for this part B. 5 times the quantity, x plus 2. You're multiplying the whole thing, so make sure you put that in parentheses. Equals, and then 3 times the quantity, x minus 1. To get rid of your parentheses, you're going to distribute this 5 through. 5 times 2 is 10. Do it again for this side of the equation. Now we have no more parentheses, so let's combine like terms. I'm going to get the x's over here. So 5x minus 3x is 2x plus 10 equaling negative 3. Subtract 10. This will cancel because it's 0, so we don't need to write that. Equals negative 13. Divide by 2 because 2 times x is happening in multiplication. So the opposite of that is division. 2 divided by 2 is 1. We never write 1x, we just write x is negative 13 over 2. You could plug these values back in for x, and this left-hand side of the equation will equal the right-hand side of the equation. Now we will solve word problems using proportions. The currency in Argentina is the peso. The exchange rate is approximately $3, equaling 1 peso. At this rate, how many pesos would you get if you exchanged $121.10? Okay, so we have $3 is 1 peso. So let's set that equal, set proportion. So the dollar will go up here. So we have $121.10. And we're looking for how many pesos. So let's call that X. If you cross multiply, you're going to get 3x equaling 121.1 times 1 is 121.1. Divide both sides by 3. So x equals 40.37 pesos. Okay, the next example. Mary reduced the size of a painting to a width of 3.3 inches. What is the new height if it was originally 32.5 inches tall and 42.9 inches wide? So we have the original. We have 32.5 tall. So it's tall. And you can put this on the bottom, it doesn't matter. And 42.9 inches wide. What does matter is that you need to match up the height here and then the width here. So we have a width of 3.3, so that's going to go there. And when we're looking for the height, so we're going to put x there. Cross multiply, so 32.5 times 3.3. It's 107.25. That equals x times 42.9. So 42.9 x. Divide both sides by 42.9 to get x equaling 2.5. So it had to be 2.5 inches tall.